right. Well, hey, Matt, can you just repeat what you just said? Yeah.
Yeah, fucking tongue
Let's get
flicking
it.
Oh,
fire
yeah.
gun, son. Come
All
on
right.
now.
What is up, everybody? Rethink Reality here. If you haven't heard of us, now you have. Welcome to the show. We're doing sell high candidates, or sorry, yeah, sell high. My bad. I got that. I got that. But yeah,
Come on
sell
now.
high candidates. This is candidates who maybe went off last week in fantasy football, and you want to get rid of them early. That way, while they still have some value, you can push them to the side. But before we get into that, we have a special guest, old Matt DiGiorno
Hey,
Wiggins.
Big
Yes,
DiGiorno. Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
What's up, boys?
Yes, sir. Hey, welcome to the show. If you haven't heard, this is 12-man PPR. For if you're wondering, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. We really like responding to some comments. It fires me and Matt up when we see you guys talk in the comments,
Oh,
whether it's
yeah.
a trade suggestion or just what we think of your team or whatever. Leave a comment. Let us know you're involved and interacting. That would be fantastic. But Matt, without further ado, let's get into your first sell high candidate.
Let's get into it, boys. All right, so first sell high candidate going to be none other than the boy Zach Moss.
Hey.
Sneaky waiver wire pickup earlier in the season. And I
Oh,
got to
yeah.
say, he had his run. He made a lot of fantasy managers happy, maybe made him a lot of money. But that time has come to shelve him, drop him off to some of your
Yes,
other,
sir.
maybe a little slower league mates, all right? Somebody who doesn't quite know that JT is on the prowl, coming back in, going to be taking some
Oh,
of
yeah.
those touches.
He's
Yes, sir. And
lurking,
somebody,
baby.
yeah,
Yeah, he
somebody
is.
who you lift him as sell high because he's coming off of 2 good weeks. You know, this last week scores a touchdown. I mean, this is somebody who you could probably get pretty good value at right now. The big thing about Zach Moss, I think, is that he's number one. He's just not as talented as Jonathan Taylor. He lacks the efficiency that Jonathan Taylor does. And as JT gets more acclimated, comes back in, I mean, we listed him as a trade for target. So if you're trading for JT, you got to be trading away Zach Moss. I don't think there's enough room in this backfield with the way that the Colts play for two RB2s, two RB1s, anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, JT's going to come back and garner a lot more share of the workload. Going to get reacclimated, and Zach Moss. Zach Moss is just very predicated, even these last 2 weeks, on that big breakout run. You know, if
Yeah.
he's not getting 60 yards and a touchdown on a chunk, he's only going to give you 9-10 points. So yeah, I think just that lack of efficiency in JT coming back makes him a pretty good trade away candidate. I think it's time to
Oh,
move
yeah.
off the waiver wire here over the past 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh yeah, dude. I think JT a great analogy for him, man. He's like that seventh grade history teacher that everyone's scared of because he flirts with people too hard. You know, everybody's fucking scared, baby. I'd be scared because I'm trying to get rid of fucking Zach Moss. So yeah, I mean he's lurking real hard. So I think you got to dial it up. You got to get Zach Moss on the team while you can and get the cash while you got it, baby. Because you did, you won that waiver wire. But now it's time to get rid of it. You won
Yeah,
it.
Mm-hmm.
exactly. All right, Matt, what's your second pick?
All right, so this second guy, a guy that used to be near and dear to my heart, I
Uh
have him listed as don't even trade, just drop him for a fucking defense, and that is the boy
oh. yeah.
Najee Harris.
All the disrespect.
I have a very complicated relationship with Najee Harris. Obviously, living in Pittsburgh, you want to love him, and you watch him get out there, run the ball up the middle for 2 yards a carry, and it just makes you want to blow your brains out, to be honest.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's drafted super high. I've gotten burned by him in the past. You know, I may or may not have taken him in the first round a few years ago, and he did the same shit he's doing this year. So, this is a guy
Yeah.
that's just highly inefficient, relies, historically on a very large workload and some of those possible goal line touches. And I mean, if that's what you're praying for in this Matt Canada-led Pittsburgh Steelers offense, there's not going to be a lot of goal line touches to go around, let alone giving it to Najee Harris to score the ball.
Yeah.
So as long as they have Matt Canada, I'm moving off Najee Harris. And that's not even to mention a guy like Jalen Warren, who's coming in and just looks all around more explosive than Najee Harris does. Catching the ball, running the ball for, 10, 15, 20 yards a pop, finding these holes, bursting through them. He just looks like he has that speed that Najee doesn't. And honestly, as a partial Steelers fan living in the city, I'm watching us hand the ball to Najee Harris, and I'm just thinking, throw the ball to Jalen Warren. I mean, that's how you get back into games. You give him
Yeah.
the rock. And so I think this is somebody that, even as stubborn as that organization is, they're going to come around to Jalen Warren and realize that he needs to be their bell cow going forward. And I think that's just a sign to get off Najee Harris.
Yeah. Najee Harris has been really disappointing the past 5 weeks. The Steelers were on bye this past week, but he's only had one game with over 10 points. And
Yep.
it just seems like his role is diminishing as Jalen Warren's roles increases in that Matt Canada-led offense. And it's kind of sad to see, man. There was so much hope for him, and now he's just obsolete in that offense, which is, I guess, the direction the Steelers want to take. But
and even in that ADP, I mean, people were taking him in the third or fourth round, with the hopes that again he was going to have that large workload. Even if he's ripping off 3 yards per carry, you still expect him to maybe get 80, 90 yards a game. But he just the passing game for him is simply just non-existent with Jalen Warren in the picture. So it's been disappointing. So you don't even need to trade him. Just drop him.
Just drop him for a defense. There you go. All right, let's hear that third and final pick, baby. Lay it on me.
All right. This third pick, this is going to put an entire offense, an entire organization on blast. That's going to be the Tennessee Titans. I mean, if you're rocking anybody in the Tennessee Titans, and that is going to be the boy Derrick Henry included, I think it's just time to move off. You should be able to get a little bit of decent value from Derrick Henry. I mean, last week he breaks off a 65, 70-yard run. Didn't quite make it all the way to the end zone, but he did make up for that. Scored a little 10-yarder around the edge in the red zone last week. So I think this is somebody who, again, your league mates who might be stuck in 2019, 2020, 2021 type Derrick Henry seasons are going to look at that name on your offer sheet, and they're going to give you a little bit of value. But the other guy that I'm lumping in with this is DeAndre Hopkins. This is a guy that I have to admit I did draft in the fourth or fifth round, I believe. And there was a lot of hope for him. I mean, this is somebody who is going to garner probably over 50% of the target share on that offense. I mean, he is really the only guy that they have to throw to other than Treylon Burks. But again, this offense is really just handicapped by Ryan Tannehill. I mean, Ryan Tannehill goes down, so moving forward the next few weeks, do you really know if he's going to play? If he doesn't and Malik Willis comes in, is that really much better? And I mean, even when Ryan Tannehill is healthy, there's really just no way around it. He's ass. I mean, he's just been ass this season. Those are two guys that I would move off of. D-Hop because he's limited by Ryan Tannehill. And then Derrick Henry, even though the game script is going to favor him, he's another guy that his efficiency is really predicated on those long 50 to 75-yard runs. Maybe he sneaks in the end zone. Maybe he doesn't. Not especially with Ty J. Spears back there. Again, similar to Najee Harris. I know Derrick Henry's way more talented, but a guy that doesn't see a lot of passing volume where Ty J. Spears has been, sneakily gaining a decent amount of the touches in that backfield and takes a lot of the receiving work. So, I really think anybody on that Titans offense, we just want to move off of.
I couldn't agree with that more. And to kind of piggyback off your Derrick Henry pick, I'll kind of segue into my picks. But I also had Derrick Henry on my sell high list too. And there's two bits of information you need to know about Derrick Henry that maybe other people don't know. And that can kind of mask his value for other people and maybe think, hey, this guy's good, trade for him. And that's just that's just the brand name. That's like going to Walmart, buying the cereal, the Frosted Mini Wheats versus getting the fucking Walmart Frosted Mini Wheats. You're trading away the Walmart Frosted Mini Wheats for the Kellogg's Frosted Mini Wheats, and that's Derrick Henry right there. I don't know if that was a good analogy, but we're gonna roll it.
Hey, quick question, Matt. You drafted Hopkins, right?
I did, yeah.
You still got him on your team?
I do not. I was a little early to the trade.
Who's got him? Who's got him? Who's got him right now?
He might be looking at me. I don't know.
Hey, who do you got wide receiver right now?
Why are you trying to put me on blast when I'm trying to say my thing?
I wasn't going to say shit. Right? This is plain and simple for the boys, all right? But here he comes putting you on blast. I don't know.
Bro, I'm about to blast in your face, boy.
Dude, I've been asking you for do that for 10 months, and you've yet to do that, so I'm waiting. Come on.
All right. Anyways, just to get back to Derrick Henry, he had a good standalone game against the Ravens, and while that was good and all, that entire game predicated off his 63-yard run that he broke off. And that's the other thing I was going to talk about, which is kind of masking his performances. That one big play is what cost him to score like 19 fantasy points or whatever it was. And the past 4 years, he has not been the same guy. He's been a completely other guy. And like you said, Matt, it runs through Ryan Tannehill, but again, he's not. I mean, last game he only got 12 carries, which is not a lot for King Henry, who's supposed to be this really good guy. So based off his average draft position, I mean, it's not good. It's really not. And where you drafted him versus where he is now, like I think you need to get off him ASAP and do it now while that performance last game was kind of masked by that 63-yard run. I think you could really probably get something decent for him, or maybe more than what he's worth.
Yeah, moving forward, he's drafted in that late first round, early second round window right there, and moving forward, I just don't see him giving you that value right there. So, might be time to take advantage of a league mate that still is buying into that brand name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on here, I have Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots. He managed 15 touches and 18 fantasy points. And again, that might be the mask for what fantasy managers need in order to trade for him. He's on a dumpster fire of a team. And I know, Matt, you said buy into the talent. It doesn't matter what their team is. I just don't think Ramondre has that talent, to be honest with you. It just appears like the Raiders are the cure-all for, running backs. I mean, they cured A.J. Dillon last week, and this week it happened with Stevenson again, who put up pretty good numbers. So the Patriots' next few games are against the Bills, Dolphins, Commanders, and Colts. And really, I mean, all those defenses are pretty good against the run. So Stevenson moving forward, I mean, I would get off him while you still can, because his future is looking very bleak.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to put the Titans' offense on blast, the Patriots cannot get away unscathed. I mean, this offense has just been abysmal. I mean, you look at Ryan Tannehill, and you want to call him subpar. I mean, I don't know what's below
Mac
subpar,
Jones, yeah.
maybe 6 feet down, but that's whatever Mac Jones is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm big on getting away from those just terrible offenses, and the Patriots are about as low as you can get right now.
Yeah. I do want to say the only thing with Stevenson. So last week when I did say it was because you could get him for a bag of lint. I mean, it was barely anything you were paying for him. And this week, I'm be honest, I think every fantasy manager, even including myself, is going to try to package him in a deal just because. They think they could trade high on him right now, and I think you can, but it really depends on your league, I feel like our league it would be a little bit harder because everyone's pretty dialed in and they know, hey. It could be some fraudulent activity going on with Stevenson. So, definitely. I think it's good. You might be able to get another good week out of him just because a lot of people are on bye this week. RBs are really skinny anyway. And Buffalo's 23rd against the run. So, there's been people getting it done against Buffalo. But after that, it's Miami and Colts who are like middle of the pack as far as running backs. But you just don't know how many times this Patriots team's going to score. And at the end of the day, when you drafted Ramondre, you were picking him up for his receiving and for his rushing because he was pretty elusive. He hasn't been elusive this year, and they just haven't been passing it. So if he's not getting touchdowns too, it is pretty tough. But, yeah, I definitely try to sprinkle a package somehow, some way with him.
Yeah. And moving on to my final one, we'll keep this one short and sweet. Not really much needs to be said about this guy. And it's the dumpster fire, which is the Atlanta Falcons and Desmond Ridder. No offense to my boy Matt here. He is a Falcons fan, but Kyle Pitts has just not been that guy. And I'll take the blame for that. I'll take the blame he's not that guy. And I drafted him. I did draft him, and I just dropped him a couple weeks ago. I'll take the blame. He was not good. And he had a good week last week. Yes, he did. He scored a touchdown, his first of the year. But use that as a mask. Again, people may think, oh, he's back. Kyle Pitts is back. That man is not back. He's far from back. You just need to, honestly, I would just drop him. I think he's a curse to your team. I don't even think you need to trade anything for him. Just please drop him.
Yeah, he's in that Najee Harris category for you.
Yes.
If you've been watching the show, we've iterated, I don't know how many times, even before this game. Drop Pitts, pick up Jonnu Smith. Come on. Yeah. Jonnu Smith's been getting the catches, and he's on the waiver wires right now. So, yeah, that's been the move. If you're going to go Atlanta for some reason, like you got someone's got a gun held to your head, and you're like, I guess so.
Nothing else needs to be said. Nothing from me.
Hey, I watched a dumpster fire Philly team.
We'll leave it at that. I don't need to add anything.
Oh shoot. Well, I guess I'll get into mine. We're gonna get a little raunchy. Hey, guess what? We're back on the Falcons. Drake London. Fucking get him off the team. I mean, the reason why is right now, if you're a fantasy manager looking at Drake London, you're like, oh my God. He's actually starting to do something right now, you know? So you see, let's pull up his actual stats. I'm going to Matt's team. Bada bing, bada boom. Look, the previous game against Jags, he had 7 targets. Next game, he had 9 targets. His following week, he had 12 targets. He keeps going up and going up. I'm like, all right, his points are going up. He had 21 last week. He broke into triple-digit yards last week. Guess what? As a fantasy manager, I am seeing the stats, and I'm like, okay, he's starting to come. He's on the come up. He's on the come up. And guess what? He's about to fall on his face. I don't think Riddler. I guess I said Riddler.
The Riddler.
The Rizzler. You know what
I'd
Rizzard.
rather have the Riddler.
the Rizzard, yeah, the fucking Rizzard. I mean, I think they're going to start taking the ball out of his hands. The only reason I maybe like him if Heineke came in, and that could be a situation maybe, but I think he could be someone you could pawn off. Now I'm curious. Let's kick some trades. Do you think you could pick up Drake London right now for Watson, or is that way too much of a reach?
I don't think so.
Drake London for Christian
Watson.
Watson. Christian Watson.
Yeah, I'll do that trade. Who wants to do that trade? Let's do
That's
that
what
trade.
I'm curious if the Watson
I like
owner would do that. You know, do you think the Watson owner would do that or no?
I don't know. They might potentially do that because Christian Watson has a little bit more competition in the wide receiver room.
Yeah.
Now, that said, a guy like Jordan Love is going to be more efficient throwing the ball. And I like, again, Drake London, immensely talented. Christian Watson, also just as talented, in my opinion. Somebody who had a breakout year at the end of last year. I'm not sure if they would do it, but it would be close. If you could get a manager that was looking at Christian Watson, hasn't been injured for the first few weeks of the season, hasn't really had a breakout. You're looking at Romeo Doubs getting targets, and they want to trade for a bona fide one receiver, but it's kind of a bona fide one receiver with an asterisk. So,
you get the bone in you while you also get him. So, but I mean, and then the next guy, you know what? I hate to say it, this is our league favorite. I mean, anytime this guy is in a trade, our league flips out. That's Mr. Tay. It's Devontae Adams. I think he is someone you need to sell. And the reason why is this. In games this year, even with Jimmy G, and they had Jacobs there and Myers was healthy, he has suffered in his fantasy production. Now take Jimmy G out of it, because Jimmy G went to the hospital, guys. Let's not forget this. He went to the hospital on some back injuries. I don't know how serious it was or not. I think they were just going to the hospital because they were going to do CAT scans on the back. But it's not looking good for the Raiders right now. And also Tay's coming off a very low week. I think some managers are going to think that they could buy him. And I think as someone who you could sell high as a wide receiver one and maybe get some value back, maybe like get a Brandon Ayuk plus someone maybe, and you could dial up something for your team that could, maybe they have like an RB that you could get. I'm not sure about Devontae Adams. I like the talent. Buy into the talent. I mean, I agree with the statement, but for this situation, it's just – I don't know. It's just the Raiders, man. If Jimmy G's not there, it's just really sus. And Myers has came into his own this year. I mean, he's really been kind of coming out as a wide receiver too. And in some weeks, I mean, this past week he beat out Tay. I mean, there's been another week he's beat him out too when he's healthy. I don't know, because the problem is Tay's someone who stretches out the field, and that's what Derek Carr was best at. And then now you're putting in this backup QB, and then also Mr. Garoppolo, who is known for hitting the little quick throws, the quick slants, and that's what Jacoby's been a dog for too. I mean, don't get me wrong, Tay's good for it too, but I think there's a little bit of a window right here where you can sell high on Adams, but you can get some good value back. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Adams is going to tank. I think he's still going to be a good wide receiver this year. I just think he's not going to be where he was at like the previous week anymore. Like I think that's about his ceiling, and I think that's I don't know. I just don't know if that's going to keep returning much. So I don't know. I kind of like to get off people and possibly get someone who might be a little bit more entertaining and build up my RB situation as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think you could definitely get a 2-for-1 for him. And again, this kind of keeps with the theme of this whole trade away segment is we're putting these offenses on blast. And again,
Yeah.
the Raiders just cannot come away unscathed. I mean, the
Yeah.
play calls that they're dialing up and the limitations that you have, like you said, even with Jimmy G back there, and then those are just going to be amplified with a backup quarterback. I mean, even with the target share that Devontae Adams gets, and personally, I love the talent there, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit different for those wide receivers than it is buying into the talent of a running back.
Yeah.
Because a running back is short touches, it's screen passes, the open holes and everything. A
A
wide
lot of open
receiver is going to
holes.
be limited. Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Wide receiver is just going to be limited by his QB play and the
Yeah.
scheme that he's in. And I really don't like either for Tay. And again, I mean, you look at someone like Keenan Allen, right? Keenan Allen, not drafted in the first round, sometimes slipped all the way to the third round. But then you look at their projections for the rest of the way, and give me Keenan Allen all day long, because
Yeah.
you look at these two guys, very talented. Tay for the past 5 years probably been the more talented wideout, but then you look at their quarterback situations and you look at Keenan Allen prospering while Devontae Adams is kind of standing there, sometimes wide open, just saying, "Please God, throw me the ball."
Yeah. 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 I mean, they played the Pats, who gave up 30-plus points back-to-back games, and I mean, the Raiders, I think what they put up, like 17 or something. It wasn't much at all. So I mean, I think that was like the best opportunity for an absolute feast fest, and it kind of really didn't happen. It was a pretty ugly game. So yeah, that's my moves. But yeah, I mean, I think that's all we got, boys. I mean, it's been a good pod. We kind of dialed up. Hopefully, y'all stayed to this point. If you made it to this point, flick the notification bell like a bean, baby. Come on. We're dialing in with y'all. We're literally giving y'all free game on free game on free game. We answer comments off the beat. Scatty's got a freaking beeper on the side of his hip. As soon as you do it, it pings him, and he stands up at work and answers your question. He doesn't even care what the situation is, son. He answers your fucking question. So
Now
guess
that
what?
I believe.
Dial
Yes, sir.
I believe that.
Yeah. Give this man some props, man. Dial it in. Come on now. Tap into this fucking page and let's go to the moon. Let's take your fantasy team to the next level. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.